Welcome to today's 5-minute Bible study in the Gospel of John. We're in John chapter 10. Today we start looking at verse 7. Now yesterday we saw that the first half of John chapter 10 deals with Jesus explaining that he is the good shepherd. He is the shepherd of the sheep. He said, those who don't come in by the gate are thieves and robbers. They cannot be trusted. The shepherd comes to the gate and he calls his sheep. They know his voice and they follow him. Now it continues that thought in verse 7 and on. Notice what Jesus says. Jesus said again, truly I tell you, I am the gate for the sheep. All who have come before me, they're thieves and robbers, but the sheep did not listen to them. I am the gate. Whoever enters through me will be saved. They will come in, they will go out, they will find pasture. The thief comes only to kill and to steal and to destroy. I have come that they might have life and that they might have it to the full. Jesus is the shepherd, but he is also the gate. They say, well, how can it be both? Well, remember in the ancient times when the shepherd would bring his sheep into the enclosure for the night, oftentimes he would lay across the entrance to protect the sheep. He would be the gate. They came in and they went out through him, as it were, through his protective care. So he is the gate as well as the shepherd, the living gate. And notice he says, you must come in through me. Those who try to go in some other way, those are the thieves and the robbers. And they're not interested in the well-being of the sheep. They come to steal, to kill, to destroy. Jesus said, I am the good shepherd, and I've come to give life, and life to the full. Jesus is the shepherd of the sheep. He is the eternal shepherd. We are the flock under his care. When we enter through him, that is, when we trust and believe only in him, follow only his voice, when we give our lives to him, we come to know the fullness of life. For he has come to give us life and to give it in abundance, to give it to the fullest measure possible, for he is the shepherd. But if we follow some other way, if we decide not to follow the shepherd and end up following another who will be a thief or a robber, that will lead us to destruction. You know, this is similar to another image Jesus used talking about life in him. He said that the way to heaven is the narrow way. That's the way that leads to eternal life. The narrow way is to follow the only shepherd. But Jesus also said it's the broad way, the way that many walk, that leads to destruction. We must walk the narrow way, the way of the shepherd, the one shepherd, the only shepherd, for only he gives life, but he gives it to the full. He gives it to the abundance. And so we're called to believe in him and to trust in him and to follow him. And in him we find that eternal life, that life to the fullest, that life in absolute abundance. Now, how is it the shepherd gives us this life? Notice what he says in verse 11 about the way he gives life to us. He said, I am the good shepherd, and the good shepherd lays down his life for the sheep. The hired hand is not the shepherd, and he does not own the sheep. So when he sees the wolf coming, he abandons the sheep and he runs away, and the wolf attacks the flock and scatters it. The man runs away because he is a hired hand and cares nothing for the sheep. But I am the good shepherd, and I know my sheep, and my sheep know me, as the Father knows me, and I know the Father, and I lay down my life for the sheep. How does the shepherd provide life for us? By giving his own life on our behalf. He lays down his life for the sheep. Jesus is talking about the good shepherd going to the cross, and on the cross purchasing for us eternal salvation. The hired hand won't do that. The thieves and robbers won't do that. Only the good shepherd. He says, I lay down my life for the sheep. I give myself for them. He would on the cross, that we might be redeemed, set free. And we receive life because he gave his life for us. Oh yes, he is the good shepherd. He gives his life for the sheep, and by his sacrificial death on the cross, he buys for us eternal life. So when we trust him, when we believe in him, we come into the fullness of that life. Yes, indeed, we need to know who Jesus is. He is the good shepherd who gives himself, who gives his life in sacrifice for the sheep, that we might be saved, redeemed, and receive eternal life from his gracious hand. He is the Good Shepherd. Hope you join us tomorrow as we continue our 5-minute Bible study in the book of John.